All right, so real quick, I wanted to kind of go through how we can kind of resize and move around our drawings when we are using complex shapes and stuff like that. And really, this ends up coming from um, being able to resize and move this around. This comes from us having to change the origin. If everything that we are drawing on here was based off the origin being at 0, 0, if we change that origin, we change where the shape is. Now, we also could resize an image, and let's look at that. We want to look at scale. Now, I'm looking at what are these different ones. Oscillator, nope, not related. Envelope, not related. Let's look in the method. This increases or decreases the size of a shape by expanding or contracting the vertices. Objects always scale from their relative origin to the coordinate system. Scale values are specified as decimal percentages. For example, the function call scale 2.0 increases the dimension of a shape by 200%. Okay, so it's all in values. So 1.5 would be 150%. It would be 50% larger than its normal size. The scale is called within draw. The transformation is reset when the loop begins again. Use this function with the z parameter is only available in WebGL mode. Okay, so we don't really need to do that. But if we scale, we could scale the x and the y by giving it a value, or we could do the x and the y. So this is the percent to scale if we only give one. But if we give it with the x, that could be x, and then this could be the y. So we could skew it a little bit depending on the size that we need to do. Now, I will tell you that there is a cool trick that you can do with scale for this. We won't get to see it if you try to do it here, but you can scale with a negative value to actually get it to flip on the x-axis or on the y-axis. But it will flip based off of where the origin is. So if the origin is up here, it's going to flip up the screen up here, so we won't be able to see it. So the first thing that we would need to do, now on this one, you don't technically have to do it, but I'm going to just talk about it anyways. If you start getting used to using push and pop before anything when you're trying to change the origin or the rotation or the scale, any of that stuff, if you get used to putting this inside push and pop, whenever you're trying to combine this code into different things, it won't start affecting things. A lot of times we are going to want to draw, say, rectangles as top left because we do want to be able to make sure we have good collisions. The math works out. But when we're drawing our images, calling images for our characters or doing animations, we're going to want to have those set up as center drawn so we can line it up, or we need to make it match, so we might also have to have it as top left. If we were doing circles as our hitboxes, then our images, which are going to be drawn as top left, we would need to change those in the mode. So playing around anytime you're changing modes, translating, scaling, rotating, get used to using push and pop to group that code so it's not affecting everything else, because it will, and it will get confusing trying to find it. So I'm drawing the head, I'm drawing the face, doesn't matter about me changing the colors, but before I go to do that, if I wanted to change the position of where it is, I could translate. Now translate, say for this sake, I'm just going to do mouse X, mouse Y so we can see it happen. Now if I run this, it is going to move this around. So it's position where we would normally see it if I'm at 0, 0 on the origin, but now this is moving, and it's all moving relative to my mouse position from where it originally was. Okay, now I could also scale this. So normally we scale after we translate, otherwise it's unpredictable. So let's scale, and let's say that we just want to scale as 50. Okay, so that means it would be 0.5, 50%. That is 50% of the original size. Now that's everything, all vertices. That means even the distance away from the original origin to the image starting is all in scale. So I can use my full canvas to design something, and then I can scale it down to be able to position. Okay, so here that's 0.5. Now I could do 1.5, and now it's much bigger. Now I could do, let's say, 0.5 on the X, but I want it to stay as 1 on the Y, so I want it the same height, but I wanted to squish it on the X. So we can do that, or we could squish, so I could make this maybe not as big, maybe it's 0.25. It's 25% what it was. So I can use this to kind of dynamically change my stuff. I could use this to find out, like, hey, I want to position this exactly at this area. I could find out what that point is, that mouse X, mouse Y, by using helper code, find that out, and then I could put it there. So I could say, oh, I want this at 350 and this at height minus 100, or whatever I wanted to translate to. Maybe I don't like that, so I'm going to do 300. Maybe 200. Now this would matter on what size my canvas was. 450, so yeah, I got plenty of space. So 300 and height minus 200. Could still move over. Keep in mind this is scaled down, but it's a much different number than what we were playing with before. So this was originally filling up most of the screen, so that means it's almost filling up 450. So that means how much I'm going over would matter, since I'm positioning based off that point somewhere over here. So we could use it to position using our mouse if we were setting that up and we had our helper code, and then we could scale it down, make it so that it would fit. We could dial in those values. I could have this be some value of mouse X, which would be kind of crazy here because it's going to go big real fast. This actually reversed it. Let's do 50 just so we can kind of see it. I'm at positive scale, negative scale. This is negative scale, and then it's going the other way. Okay, so we would probably want to remap if we were going to try to use mouse X or mouse Y inside of scale, because it's looking for a value from like 0 to like 3 or 4, not really large, crazy values. Okay, so that is really how we would do it though. We could take any image, we could size it down just by putting a translate, and then we could use a scale. We could also do, instead of the scale, or well, you could use the scale, let's say, so let's go back to this, 0.50, and I want that to be uniform. Let's get that more in the middle. Okay. I could put a rotate on here. Now, if I was going to do that, I'm going to have to change the angle mode. Degrees. And then maybe I want to rotate like 30 degrees. Okay. Now keep in mind it's rotating off of that original origin point that we just translated to. Okay, so I got to use that to my advantage if I'm trying to rotate. That's 30. I could also go, say, negative 30 and rotate the other way. And we could do all kinds of cool stuff with it. Okay, that's it for this video. It was just kind of giving you a quick primer of how we could resize our images using scale and translate. All right, good luck. Have fun.